The NFL Combine starts this week, and we're going to preview it. I'm going to talk about who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, and things. What is up, Fin fans? The NFL Combine is here, so we're going to take a little bit of a break, maybe a little pause-a-rooney from all the free agency talk to kind of fast forward to the draft talk, because yes, this upcoming week, you're watching this on Saturday, so this upcoming week, the NFL Combine is here. Now, I kind of wanted to touch upon some things. I wanted to talk about some things, give you the dates and times of the performing players and positions. I don't know what happened there. Things you can hear and expect from the Combine, some things that people are saying, and who's going to talk and when. So we're going to talk about all that, and we're going to jump right into it. So the NFL Combine technically starts, I think, on Monday or tomorrow. I know it starts sooner there rather than later, because if you look here, let me move my big fat head out of the way. On Thursday here is defensive linemen, linebackers. On Friday, it is defensive backs and tight ends. On Saturday, it is quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. And on Sunday, it is offensive linemen. So there's kind of your schedule there. It starts on Thursday, but necessarily they will also be talking and all that stuff and media availability. And I will talk about the media availability in a brief second. I just kind of want to talk about the players, because there's a lot of players, and there's one position in particular that there's a lot more of. So when it comes to quarterbacks, there are 15 quarterbacks that have been invited. Running backs, there are 31. Wide receivers, there are 49. Tight ends, there are 21. Offensive linemen, there are 50. Defensive linemen, there are 73. And the biggest thing is, last year, the amount of defensive tackles that were invited to the Combine was 25. This year, it is 41. So there's a huge jump in the amount of defensive tackles not taken, but invited to the Combine, which bodes well for the Dolphins because they need some defensive tackles. Linebackers, there are 29 invited. Defensive backs, 56. There's 4 kickers and 2 punters invited. I did have to just throw those 2 names out there. Now, some of the names of people who were invited, the obvious, you got Cam Ward. Obviously, he's invited. Jackson Dart makes sense. Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, like the obvious ones. Jalen Milroe, Will Howard. There's pretty much anyone that you've been hearing names of. They have been invited to the Combine. I'm trying to, some of them that have, the ones that have stuck out to me besides Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is like Dylan Gabriel. I'm hearing things about him. Jackson Dart, he's moving up. Some people had him going in the 3rd round, but after the Senior Bowl and some other things, he might be a 1st round pick. From what I'm hearing. Will Howard, I'm hearing things about him. Kyle McCord, I'm hearing things about him. Obviously, Jalen Milroe, I'm hearing things about him. And then there's other guys that you can go further down. Running backs, there's a long list of running backs. Damian Martinez will be there. Ashton Genty, a lot of the guys that obviously, you'll be like, what about so-and-so? The list is here. I'm showing you that on purpose. Wide receivers, the top guys will be there. For the wide receivers as well. Tight ends, Arroyo will be there. Obviously, you have Tyler Warren will be there. A lot of guys. There's an unsung hero I'm here. Not unsung, but that I'm hearing a lot of good things about. Where is he? Will he be there? Gunnar Helm from Texas. I'm hearing good things about Gunnar Helm. Again, tight end, a lot of people want Tyler Warren at 13. But if you can get like Gunnar Helm, if you can get Elijah Arroyo or Gadsden II, obviously ex-Dolphin wide receiver son. There's a lot of good tight ends in this draft class. Offensive linemen, you got the big guys there, especially the tackles. One that I'm going to be looking at, where is he? Obviously, you got like Calvin Banks. He's been my brain's not working. He's been mocked to go to the Dolphins at 13, but there's one guy that I would love to get in the second. Where is he? Where is he? Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. He might go in the first. I'm hearing great things about him. Then you got defensive linemen with the pass rushers. I just told you, look at this list of defensive linemen. Altogether, 73 of them. Crazy linebackers, defensive backs, and like I said, you got some kickers and punters down here. So, the biggest question when it comes to those things, and one that Louis Riddick brought up, is who's going to be performing at the combine? And Louis Riddick said, and I quote, "Want to see Shadori, Tyler So, and Cam Ward actually throw at the scouting combine. They will be in a small group, all throwing to receivers they aren't familiar with, which allows the cream to rise to the top. Great quarterbacks on the same page, fastest and unfamiliar receivers. This needs to happen." And obviously, you had Cale Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. They didn't throw. You had Marvis Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. They didn't throw. They didn't perform. You had Rome Aduns, who kind of did his thing. So that's the biggest question going into the combine, is out of these quarterbacks, I think Dart will throw. I think a lot of it comes down to, will Cam Ward and will Shadori Sanders throw? I think everyone else, from Dylan Gabriel to Milroe to Dart to like all of the McCord, I think they're all going to throw. It's, are we going to see Cam Ward? Are we going to see Shadori Sanders? My guess is no. Same thing with the wide receivers. Same thing with the running backs. Like, are we going to see Genty, all these guys? I probably don't think so, because especially with their draft stock the way it is, they don't need to do it. But back in the day, they all did it. Like, everyone came to the combine and everyone performed. But again, that is the biggest question. Will they, won't they perform? Now, when it comes to media availability, that's kind of where the combine starts, right? Because you see here, the on-the-field stuff starts on Thursday, February 27th. But on Tuesday, the 25th, is where the media availability starts, because you have general managers and head coach on Tuesday. Same thing for Wednesday, but then you add the defensive linemen and the place kickers. On Thursday, you get defensive backs and tight ends. On Friday, you get It's like they all will meet before they perform. So before they go out and do their drills and everything at the combine, they will meet with the media. And this is where we get to understand who met with who. Right? Because that's something that will be happening. Obviously, you have the drills, and I think they have the name of the drills on here. For some reason, the Raider site was the only one that went in depth with these things. But they have the drills, a 40-yard dash, 3 cones. You got the, all these other things, the shuttle, the long jump, all these things. But a lot of times, we'll be looking at those numbers, and that is something that I will be talking about when it comes to my videos, like who did perform where, but I also want to know who met with whom. Who did the Dolphins meet with? Did they meet with these quarterbacks? Did they meet with these offensive linemen? Did they meet with Warren? It all doesn't necessarily mean they will be taken, because there were Dolphin players that were taken that after the draft, these players were like, I didn't meet with any of the Dolphins head coaches or GMs or anything, and they took me. So, surprise, surprise. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's a thing, but it will give us an understanding of the trajectory that the Dolphins' thought process is going. Real quick, before I get into the rumors, this is kind of who is talking with who, whom, when, right? So you see here, you got your GMs and when they're meeting, and you got your head coaches and when they're meeting. And you see all the way down here, Miami, there is no GM. So Chris Greer will not be talking to the media, but Mike McDaniel will be talking to the media on Tuesday at 11 a.m. I will have a press conference video for that, kind of going over the things he's talked about. I'm not going to go over the entire thing, because you'd probably be like, I don't care. But I find it interesting. There are only 3 general managers that are not meeting with the media. One of them, brand new in Chicago. The other one, Jerry Jones. He doesn't really need to. And Chris Greer. I find that incredibly interesting. And then you have head coaches that aren't meeting, which is Green Bay, Chargers, Giants, Pittsburgh, and San Fran. They're not meeting with the media. But Mike McDaniel will. So I find that to be incredibly interesting that Chris Greer is like, I will not be talking to the media. They're probably going to torch me about the things I've said in the past. So before we get out of here, I do want to talk about some things that will happen and we will hear from the combine. First and foremost, obviously, like I said before, who have we talked to? That's something I'm going to want to know, and that's what I'm going to be reporting to you. I will be making my combine videos. I will try to do it the day of, but they will be later. Like normally, news happens in certain situations or whatever, and then I make them and I'll release them early the next day. For the combine, I'm going to try to do my best to make them and release them like that. So you'll probably get combine videos maybe 11:30 at night, like that night. And I'm just going to give them to you quick. So that's the one thing. Who are the Dolphins meeting with, whether it's receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs, offensive linemen, defensive line, corners, safeties, all that stuff. Other thing, trade rumors. A lot of what's going to happen at the combine isn't necessarily about college and the draft. These guys that are representing these upcoming NFL players and these prospects also represent NFL players. And this is where these agents can go around and talk to the GMs and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Hey, are you interested in da? Hey, would you be interested in trading for blah, blah, blah? Like Tyreek Hill, Drew Rosenhaus can probably go to someone like the Chicago Bears or someone, like Washington that needs, a receiver type like Tyreek Hill and be like, hey, would you be interested in trading for Tyreek, and what would you give up? Because I can bring that back to Miami, and we can kind of set something up, blah, blah, blah. Real quick, though, about Tyreek Hill. It looks like he had the surgery on the wrist. Cool. That's my reaction to it. It's a big nothing burger. So there's that. New contracts, talks. Again, everything that involves the agents and the GMs or this is where that melting pot happens at the combine. At the combine and at the owners' meetings is where these types of things and situations happen. You'll hear things about potential cuts, again, new contract negotiations. You'll hear things about potential trade rumors, all these things, because this is where they start yapping with each other. Overall, this upcoming week is going to be busy in the aspect of rumors, in the aspect of we get to see these draft prospects and I get a better understanding of who I'm going to be focusing on more. I already made a list of players I'm going to be focusing on. I made a list about players I want to focus on when I was doing the Senior Bowl. Jonah Saviani, Walter Nolan, Willie Lampkin, Deion Walker, Shamor Stewart, Thomas Perry, Alfred Collins, Connor Helms, like I told you, Gray Zabel, Walter Nolan, Jack Beck, Elijah Arroyo, Mando Jr., Donovan, I'm going to butcher his last name, the Boston College defensive end. So I've been making a list of players in the draft that I'm going to be watching. But this is where this week is going to be crazy town. And then after this week is over, we get into March. And March essentially is where free agency starts, baby. Because then we get about 5 days. So the combine will be over on the 2nd. Then we get the first week of March. And then that Sunday, I think, Sunday or Monday, is when the tampering period starts. So it's going to get real busy, real crazy, and a lot of things are going to happen. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys on Monday, probably. Yes, Monday. And we'll get ready for the combine. And then we get ready for free agency. And then we get ready for the draft. And then we'll see what happens after that. But like usual, stay classy and fins up.